So if you've been watching Uncapped Notes, you are probably familiar with some of the standard ways of getting investor leads. Whether it's warm intros, using public databases like AngelList or LinkedIn. But here's the thing, sometimes you need to think out of the box because you run out of leads and you're feeling a bit stuck in building your investor list.
Look, I am the guy at Hustle Fund, Janelle, that does a lot of the fundraising, and I felt that point of despair before. So in any fundraising process, usually there's that one point where you're just like, I have no one else to talk to. But we have some good news, right, Janelle? We have actually figured out some out-of-the-box ways to get more leads.
Today's episode is going to cover some of the unusual strategies for getting more prospective investors on your calendar.
Yeah, we're not going to cover every strategy, but we've sort of identified 3 specific strategies in our history of fundraising that really seem to work well for not just Hustle Fund, but also the Hustle Fund portfolio companies.
So our first tip is change your ask. So instead of saying at the end of an investor letter or at the end of a pitch or at the end of a conversation, hey, do you know anybody else who might be interested? Change the way you ask it. Instead, say, can you think of one person who might be interested in hearing about my company?
I think that this is such a wildly effective tip. When we started our fundraise at Hustle Fund, we were running into walls. Even our warm intros from our existing investors were going nowhere when we said, here's our blurb, can you share it to anyone? Crickets. But changing the ask in the way that Janelle had described was crazy effective because normally people can process at least one name. It's much more achievable. The hurdle is far lower. And oftentimes that person is the richest person that they know. Uncapped Notes is a series produced by Hustle Fund designed for first-time founders.
Follow us on socials and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
All right, so the second tip for out-of-the-box fundraising is throw a party. So we ran into this with our first fund where we didn't really know where to go, but we had this brilliant idea. Actually, I'm going to credit my partner Elizabeth for coming up with this, where we would bring our existing investors, those who have already committed, and said, we're going to get some tacos. We found this cool taco shop in San Francisco, and we're going to ask each investor to bring someone that might potentially invest in Hustle Fund. And that worked really, really well to pitch to a group of very curated people. Also, the tacos were delicious.
Finally, we encourage you to expand the way that you think about who an investor might be. In fact, your next investor might not even think of themselves as an investor.
So the definition of someone who could become an angel investor in your company is someone that is simply accredited. Now, there's some nuances here, but think of someone that's earning at least $200,000 a year or maybe $300,000 a year collectively as a couple, as a household, or even has $1 million of liquid net worth. Yes, these are pretty high bars, it seems, but you might be surprised that there's some folks in your neighborhood who could be accredited investors. And the cool thing too, Janelle, is that these don't have to be folks who work in tech. These are folks who could be working in trades, plumbers, electricians, those who are business owners, or even in the really famous case of my business partner, Elizabeth, your optometrist. Janelle, how many times has Elizabeth pitched her optometrist?
At least 5?
I think it's 3 times, but all I do know is that this person has said no every single time. Maybe the 4th time will be when they can invest in Hustle Fund, though. You never know. So if you have any more out-of-the-box advice for building up your investor prospect list, let us know in the comments.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to Uncapped Notes.